Do you want to learn high-end epoxy techniques?
This is getting a little too big for me. Okay, this is a big dot, so I'm just gonna touch it a little bit and then I'll torch that out.
Coming up in this video, we teach one of my favorite recipes of all time.
And I'm gonna trace this shape.
This is called the Epoxy Fractured Sunstone.
Okay, trace this part.
I definitely pushed the limits on this one.
I'm gonna just scoop that up.
10x your technique.
Okay, now I'm gonna come here and add.
This is chock full of epoxy tips.
I love that I can do this right now. Okay, I'm gonna like accentuate some of this. So like right here, I'm gonna accentuate this blob with like a border of color.
Learn the secrets to epoxy right now.
I'm just gonna take this and kind of manipulate that it goes that way. And it's gonna stay now because it's starting to get thicker.
We show you how to make these techniques look extremely natural.
Here, that looks fake, that little dot right there. Touch, touch. There's not much that I need to do.
Remodeling your favorite spaces doesn't need to be difficult. You got this.
That looks awesome. Woo! That is cool. That's a cool vein. That's exciting. So unlock there. Fast pour, slow pour on top. Let it flow. Let it go. It looks real.
I had a blast creating Epoxy Fractured Sunstone.
The more complex you make it, the more realistic it looks.
Stay tuned. You're not gonna want to miss this video.
And you almost gotta not care. Like, okay, if this doesn't turn out, I'm okay with that. And those pieces, when you're that free and loose, I'm telling you, they become the best.
Learn to create any epoxy recipe. Learn to up-level your spaces. Stay tuned. Enjoy the video.
What's up, guys? I'm Mike Quist. Are you an epoxy guru? Do you have a professional epoxy business? Are you a faux artist? Or do you want to learn the next tips, tools, and techniques to take your resin game and make it insane? I'm going to teach you how to do the most up-to-date techniques like a pro so that you can take your business to the next level. Stay tuned. Enjoy the video. You know, we're in a race, a mountain climb right now. We're going to 1 million subscribers. That's an aspiration that we have, and we're sprinting to get there. We need your help. Guys, will you help us out? We see that a lot of you watch our videos on a very regular basis. Have you subscribed yet? Are you new here? Consider subscribing. Do I earn that throughout this free training?
Let's get started with this recipe, and it starts with the clear coating and mix it in a bucket.
You know, our mantra, guys, what we truly believe is, you got this.
You do got this, and we're gonna put all of that clear coating in individual buckets and add our color recipe. If you wanna know what this color recipe is, just watch this video, and in the description below, we're gonna link all the colors that we used, and our link will take you straight to the recipe.
I got a funnel here. I got some pewter right here. I'm gonna add about half a bag to 8 ounces. I already got some acetone. Let me put a little bit more acetone in there just to wash that down my funnel. Got my popsicle sticks I'm taking out. I got my clear bucket over there. I got my spray paints organized over here. I got my colors. I'm gonna do a slight exotic pour setup in here right now. Boom, boom. I'm gonna go pistol shooting hot. I'm gonna go dark bronze.
That first color was fire orange, and then I'm just laying different spray paints, different additives, different metallic powders, and some dye to create an exotic bucket to pour out.
What this wash coat does is it prevents surface tension when I do a pour over this, okay? So one thing that you'll notice when you're working with coating is substrates will almost create like a dry spot that if you don't tap or touch or push or prod, it will just simply avoid that spot as it dries, and you'll get like a void or a divot or a pit right there. So that's what I'm doing here, is just applying a wash coat so that I apply these colors, it's gonna slip and slide over this. So this is really my darks. This is something that what'll happen too is the coating's gonna flow out, and this color will squeeze in between. And it looks pretty cool already. All right, so I'm just gonna take now some of my lighter colors, just do a few solid colors right down this, and then I'm gonna do some of this black glitter just to give it some clear I'll wait on, do that on top. I like clear on top with a little bit of black glitter. All right, do a little bit of this bronze, and I'm kind of going perpendicular to what I did before. I'm gonna rub this out with my hands just to get rid of man-made effects. Here we go, this is that bucket I prepped. Oh yeah, I like that palette, man. I'm using a lot of earth tones in this recipe. You see how low key that fire orange is actually becoming. You know, sometimes the more creative you get, the more advanced your technique looks, and you almost got to not care. Like, okay, if this doesn't turn out, I'm okay with that. And those pieces, when you're that free and loose, I'm telling you, they become the best because you're not overthinking it. You're going with it. And that's what I'm doing here.
So my plan was not to have a plan. I really wanted to create something exotic. I wanted to create layers. So I started with that dark, contrasting dye into my wash coat. That wash coat was critical so that it allowed me to do veins that didn't need to cover the entire piece. They were able to stay separate and they were able to create contrast. I'm just rubbing out those edges with a gloved hand. That way I get good coverage over all of my edges. We did this live. We were actually answering all the comments in the comment section. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask those questions and we'll tend to those comments during this video. I want to know, what are your questions? How can we help you? How can we take your epoxy game to the next level? Any excess that I had in my individual buckets, I just scooped them right back into my pail and I added a really cool vein on top of the veins that I already had. By adjusting the speed, I will adjust the way that that vein looks on how I pour it out. By going slow, it actually gives it somewhat of a scaled effect. It looks like a layered rock sediment style.
I'm just gonna feather this out. Maybe fracture that out a little bit. Bring this, kind of drag these edges here.
By bordering and dragging through the vein that I've already created, you pick up some of that wash coat color and bring it to the surface that creates a fun effect.
And that'll push it out further, but it'll make it more complex if you go slower. That's pretty rad. Okay, I'm gonna like accentuate some of this. So like right here, I'm gonna accentuate this blob with like a border of color. So I'll just follow this. I'll come back. See how it frames that out? Okay, I'll do the same thing over here. That's why it's good sometimes to just mix more than what you need and just drag it right through that. And that'll make that gray look more complex. And I don't just drag it once, I'm dragging it multiple times until I'm happy. And then instead of putting it in squiggly, I move it with heat squiggly.
After I lay my veins down with the paint stick in a bucket, I'll just use some heat and air.
That looks awesome. Woo! That is cool. That's a cool vein. That's exciting. So unlock there. Fast pour, slow pour on top. Let it flow. Let it go. It looks real. I got a bunch of goo right here that I can start filling in low spots. So boom, I'll just take my hand, just add that. And sometimes those become some of your coolest spots. Just kind of be the rock. Like I'm manufacturing a spot in the rock right now that's a little unique. So I'm gonna let it start to flow and then I'm gonna follow that vein. Okay, boom, I'll bring maybe a couple more of those. Maybe on the whole piece. Give myself some dark accents. Okay, that's looking cool. All right, time to fracture. Layers, you want complexity. The more complex you make it, the more realistic it looks. Oh yeah, golly, that's sick. Kind of in this section here.
I'm just laying down spray paint and fracturing it with alcohol drips.
Just spritzing it enough to open up that paint. I like black because it contrasts and kind of pops the rest of what's underneath it. Oh yeah. You might get some dimples and stuff like that from the alcohol. It really doesn't matter. Like I said, tomorrow I'm doing a clear coat and I'm happy with that. What I don't like here is how this vein is going this way. It's coming off at an angle. So I'm just gonna take this and kind of manipulate that it goes that way. And it's gonna stay now because it's starting to get thicker, okay? Now I turn that vein that way, and then I'll torch that a little bit just to move it so that it melds together, okay? Okay, now I'm gonna come in here with the torch and I'm gonna look for things like this. Like this is getting a little too big for me. Okay, this is a big dot, so I'm just gonna touch it a little bit because I don't want just big old dot, and then I'll torch that out, leave it alone. I'm gonna come here, this is like a big dot here. I'm just gonna tappy tap, torchy torch. Okay, does that look realistic? Enough, all it needs is that. Right here, that looks fake, that little dot right there. Touch, touch. There's not much that I need to do. Just drag a little bit of paint right there. Kind of lift it up, come back the same direction. Now I got straight up white paint there. So let's just add a little bit of this material right here. This is just our white that's left in that bucket. We're just gonna mix that a little bit, and then I'm gonna torch this and watch what happens. See, this stuff starts to really look cool now. I get to look at the lacing that does right there with just a tiny bit of spray paint. And I'm gonna trace this shape. Okay, trace this part. Get in your inner artist, and what do you want to kind of follow? What do you wanna trace?
I'm just using the excess coating out of my mixing buckets to use these individual colors to add additional effects.
I'm gonna just scoop that up. Okay, now I'm gonna come here and add.
I'm also utilizing what's actually dripped off of my project.
I love that I can do this right now. Look at that, that's like stringy already.
That's awesome.
Yes, that is sweet.
Great comment!
Hey, we got a great question from David Dean. He asks, is there a reason to use a nap roller as opposed to a sponge roller when doing a top coat? That's a great question. In our experience, a nap roller is the best way to prevent as much lap lines as we can as possible. That way you can get a smooth, uniform top coat. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for that comment. I actually have my favorite nap roller available on our website at stonecoatcountertops.com. Everything that you've seen in this video, including the color recipe, the training page. We actually have a training portal with multiple recipes found right at Stone Coat for free. Check us out. And guys, tell me what you think of this recipe. Do you like this color? Let me know in the comments below.
In this video, we learned how to make sunstone. Now, if you want to learn more tips and tricks or get the products to make this recipe yourself, click this link right here. But if you want to keep watching more videos, click this link right here. From the Stone Coat Countertops team, you got this.
Stone Coat Countertops, you got this.
Yep, you heard it. You got this.